as a non-developer, which it sounds like a good number of you don't have developers in-house, a lot of these vendors offer these kind of demos that you can play around with. The one thing is that the video indexer, theirs is pretty robust, where you can actually take widgets and embed them into your own systems. So theirs, to me, is the most complete product that you can access without having to go through contract negotiations. Google Cloud and AWS, they offer demos on their page. And they don't really expose them where you can put them into your own system, like through an embed. And embed is basically taking like a code and putting an iframe into your system and just like loading up their page inside of your system. They don't really do that, but they have some demos on their site, their product site, where you can play around. So you can upload your own videos and wait for it to process and just see like how good their service is. Watson, which is in the top right, so we're going Google Cloud, AWS on the bottom, Watson at the top, and Video Indexer at the bottom. Watson, they actually have products they sell. So the captioning and the video cognitive services, let's go back. Video enrichment, those are paid products. They are API first, which is good. That much data I've gotten out of them. So you can theoretically buy their paid product and communicate between your system and theirs to pull that metadata into your system. And one big use case for AI is that you have this media asset manager that has all this metadata about all of the assets that are being stored in your MEM. Wouldn't it be great to have the computer generate some of that for you? So that, in addition to the title and the season and, the episode name, you have things like car crash and leopard and, little baby girl or whatever it is, so that you can actually search and discover your content much easier. For the developers, the first thing they're going to want to learn about is what's the learning curve and what software development kit is available for each of these platforms. So for AWS, they have client SDKs. So SDK is basically kind of like an accelerator, where as a developer, you don't have to write all the code from scratch. They say, hey, if you want to use our service, here's a boilerplate for you to start building your code on top of. So they have SDKs for Android, iOS, Java, .NET, et cetera, et cetera. It's all on the slide. And from my developer perspective, I have a team of developers, and they've all played around with this. Their perspective is it's neat, comprehensive, and much less wordy than Google. I'm sorry, Google, but that was a developer's opinion. And obviously, you want to listen to that because your team is going to be more productive when they feel that they don't have to spend as much time trying to grok how to work with the software. Google Cloud Platform. So they have a good number of client SDKs as well. So C#, Go, Java, et cetera. And from a developer perspective, their API documentation, it takes a lot of clicks to get to what you need. And then it's really, really wordy. So in other words, if I just want to know, hey, how do I send my video up to your service? Rather than saying, here's the signature of the payload that you want to send up to the service. Here's the signature, and here's 3 to 4 paragraphs on every single data point within that signature. So sometimes it's easier to have a concise version at least, and then do all your wordy stuff. So it was a very verbose documentation. And it took a lot of clicks to get to what you want to find out. IBM Cloud, I have seen the API reference. It looks pretty straightforward, but it's kind of behind a paywall. So you talk to the IBM Watson media people, and you say, this is my use case. I want to play around with your system because I think I'm going to buy it, and you probably sign some contracts. But they were kind enough to share API documentation with me as IBM partner, and it looked straightforward as well. And then Azure, Microsoft, Video Indexer, they have client SDK for .NET only. So if you don't have .NET developers in your shop, it might not be the right solution for you. Because Amazon and Google has things like Java and Android, iOS, Ruby, et cetera. your developers might be able to build something faster on those platforms. And I think that the video indexer documentation, awesome. It's really well laid out, and you can inline test it out as long as you have an active account. So that's powerful.